Get ready for a day of gratitude and nostalgia at the Swesco Annual All-Year Group's Thanksgiving and Remembrance Service. Join us on Sunday, January 19th, 2025 at the ICGC Christ Temple at Boseokai in Accra at 2 p.m. The service will also mark the launch of the 66th anniversary celebrations of Swesco. Wear your Swesco cloth and be part of this special gathering. Contact your year group president for further details. Let's make this a day to remember. See you there.
Hello, are you ready for a show that the whole family can enjoy? Join us on our fun educational adventures as we discover interesting places, meet amazing people like a pilot, a soap maker, a chocolate maker, and more. That's not all. You will learn about our culture, explore musical instruments, symbols, and clothes, learn all about Kente, gather around and listen to our folk tales and discover the interesting history behind our stories.
Wow, this show is really informative.
Yeah! We will also have fun experiments. Whoa! And lots of art activities.
Look at my spider.
So beautiful.
You definitely don't want to miss the Wonder Space Show with Miss Natalie.
Wonder Space!
Watch the Wonder Space Show on Saturdays at 12 noon only on Channel 1 TV.
A new year, a new government, a new president. Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of the Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. On Situation Room, you know, we talk politics. And as you're aware, on Tuesday, President John Dramani Mahama was officially inaugurated as the next president of the Republic. He's made some appointments just today, but previously he's made some appointments, and today he brought out 3-member list of persons who will serve in various ministries as the administration of John Dramani Mahama gets started. On Situation Room this afternoon, we'll talk about who these individuals are and what they bring on the table as far as the administration of John Mahama is concerned. My name is Sami Wiafe. When we come back from the break, I'll tell you who I'm doing the show with.
Your health is in your hands, but at some point, it passes on to us. At Mintuba Hospital and Coloproctology Center, we believe that quality healthcare isn't a privilege, it's a right. Equipped with cutting-edge technology, we are fully prepared to effectively deal with all colorectal and proctological conditions. Our team of highly skilled doctors, surgeons, and nurses are renowned for their expertise in minimally invasive and painless laser, ligature, and lungoproctological surgery. We are committed to providing a wide range of services to meet the diverse needs of our patients. Mintuba Hospital, your health is our priority. Visit Mintuba Hospital today or call us at 0244 581 541 or 0271 054 204. Mintuba Hospital, in to serve a peculiar health need.
Get ready for a day of gratitude and nostalgia at the Swesco Annual All-Year Group's Thanksgiving and Remembrance Service. Join us on Sunday, January 19th, 2025 at the ICGC Christ Temple at Bosilokai in Accra at 2 p.m. The service will also mark the launch of the 66th anniversary celebrations of Swesco. Wear your Swesco cloth and be part of this special gathering. Contact your year group president for further details. Let's make this a day to remember. See you there.
You're welcome back. You're watching the Situation Room coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. As I mentioned earlier, there's a new year, a new government, a new president, and a new administration. John Dramani Mahama on Tuesday was officially sworn in as the next president of the Republic, taking over from Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who served a 2-term or 8-year period in office. In the 2024 election, his main challenger, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, lost to him, John Dramani Mahama, coming back to the seat of the presidency. This afternoon on Situation Room, we talk about the man, John Dramani Mahama, the appointments he's made. If you remember, this is the third appointment he's made since he was elected. There was an earlier appointment where there was an interim security chiefs who were appointed. Just after that, there was another appointment for him, appointing some people within his inner circle. And just this afternoon, today, on Thursday, Mr. Mahama has made some 3 ministerial, very important appointments to his government who will serve in his administration. My name, as always, is Sami Wiafe, and I'm here with my friend, colleague, and brother, Fred Tete Jabano. Fredo, what's up?
Sami.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. May this year be a good year for us, or especially you and I.
Exactly. We are praying for a very, very good year.
Definitely.
A very prosperous year.
Yes. Prosperity, that's very important. We need it. We need it. Fred, much awaited, much anticipated. On Tuesday, John Dramani Mahama was officially sworn in or inaugurated as the next president of the Republic. The comeback kid, as I will call him.
Yeah.
Because he's made another attempt to the presidency and he got it. Before that, he made some appointment, which a lot of people are talking about, and the recent one, which is today. But before we discuss today's appointment, he had made earlier appointments, appointing Prosper Bani, Lieutenant Bevlulati, among others, to chair an interim security task force. Who are these individuals he appointed?
Yes, as you said, he's made, this will be the 3rd set of appointments he's made since he was voted for as president. Whilst he was president-elect, he made the announcement of about 5 or 6 persons who were supposed to play the role as security advisors. Then he followed up with the appointment of the close cabinet, the people he'll be working with from his office. Then today, he made the appointment of his ministers. So the first batch of his ministers were announced. As you said, John Mahama was sworn into office on Tuesday. Today is his 2nd day in office. He looks like, as you said earlier, he's a man in a hurry.
A man in a hurry.
He has promised that he's going to make all his cabinet appointments within 14 days. We are in the second day of his presidency. So, I mean, he's keeping to his word. Whether he would make he'll be able to fulfill the promise of appointing all his ministers within 14 days. We are yet to see. But as we speak now, he started the process. He's named 3 other people. Before the 3, as you mentioned, he's named some key people he's going to run this government with. When you look at the caliber of people he's appointed so far, from the security chiefs down to the people he's going to work with in the office of the president and the ministerial positions, most of these people are not new to the NDC. Most of them have had some stint with the NDC in one way or the other. You have a blend of young and old people who have been put together in the first about 15 or 16 appointments.
So for not to cut you, let me just let our viewers know these individuals that President Mahama appointed in the first set of appointment. We are talking about Lieutenant General Peter Augustine Blay, who was a former CDS under President Mahama when he was president before, and then some other appointed. We'll project these individuals on the screen for our viewers to know the people we are talking about. But before that, for them, just run you through this particular list. And then there's Kofi Totobi Kwachi, a very popular name in the politics of Ghana. And then there's Larry Bevrolate, a former National Security Coordinator. There's Brigadier General Fuseni Idrisu, also retired. And then there's COP Nathan Kofi Boachi. We'll project these photos on the screen for our viewers to know these individuals who President Mahama appointed in the first set of appointment. These individuals, he called them or considered them to be the interim National Security Task Force. So we'll let Ghanaians know which individual. But in fact, before these ones, the appointments of today.
Yes, the ministers.
Today, they were major appointments.
The ministers are the ones everybody
is looking out for,
to hear and see. And today, the president did not disappoint. What he did was to appoint the very key people to the very key ministries in government. And when we talk about the very key ministries in government, the first one you think about is the finance ministry. Yeah. You also talk about the energy ministry. The energy ministry has become key because of the concerns with the power crisis, which is looming. And then we have the Attorney General, the advisor, legal advisor to government. He's also very key in the scheme of affairs. So today the president made these appointments, and these appointments, we are told that they are the first batch of appointment because the president wants the budget to be presented as quickly as possible. He's also looking at dealing with the issue of the looming power crisis. One of the things which sent the president to opposition was the long doomsday period we had, where there were power outages, people were lost jobs, businesses ran down. I think that the president does not want a repetition of the same event under his government again. So one of the key appointments he's made, and the very first appointment he's made, has to do with the energy ministry. The finance ministry, which is to provide the money, the energy ministry, which is to ensure that the technical people are working to ensure that we have our lights on. Then the Attorney General, who is going to advise them on the different contracts they are going to engage it. As we know, there's been conversation with WAPCO, there's been conversation with other power producers, and the people who are expected to import the fuel into the country to run the generators. You have to deal with contractual issues, and with these contractual issues, you need a legal advisor, and the legal advisor to government is the Attorney General. So the president, in his wisdom, has decided to name these first 3 appointments to be able to deal with these pressing issues he's facing as president on his second day of his presidency. We will take a look at the profiles of these gentlemen.
These individuals,
these gentlemen, as we said, have always been in government.
These are all members of parliament.
These are all
members of parliament.
These are all 7 members of parliament. the first of these appointments, don't forget, Dr. Kesel Atuforsen, Honorable John Abdullah Jinapor, and Dr. Dominic Ayene. These were all deputy ministers in the first Mahama government.
Yeah.
Dr. Atuforsen was deputy minister to Setekpe.
We had the finance ministry.
And the finance ministry. We had Honorable John Abdullah Jinapor, who was then deputy minister to Kwabena Donko, Dr. Kwabena Donko, then power minister. Then we have Dr. Dominic Ayine, who was deputy to Marietta Brew Opong, who was Attorney General at the time. So, I mean, let's look at the profiles of these people. Because, I mean, these appointments, we need to know their backgrounds. We need to know what they are coming to the job with. Let's start with Dr. Kesel Atuforsen. He is now current majority leader.
Yeah.
He's been in parliament since this is his fourth term. This is his fourth term. His fifth term in parliament.
Yeah.
This is fifth term in parliament. He is a chartered accountant and he's a tax practitioner.
Okay.
A chartered accountant.
No whether he speaks against some of the taxes that were, imposed on Ghanaians by the previous administration.
Exactly.
Strongly opposed to these taxes.
In fact, he's been the face of the NDC in terms of finance in opposition, talking about everything which has to do with finance, which has to do with
He's always
the
raising the alarm bells. I remember somewhere in 2020 or 2021, he raised the issue of haircuts.
Exactly.
And a lot of people in the previous government dismissed, that accusation.
He was one of the very first people who asked government to go
not
to
do
the
haircuts,
IMF for a bailout.
Yeah.
So Dr. Kesel Atuforsen has been playing his role as the lead advocate for the NDC in government, for the finance ministry or the economy. He's been a minority leader. You know what happened with his leadership when Haruna Ijusu was removed and he was put there. And one of the reasons he was put there was because the party believed that the economy was going to be the main subject for the elections. And indeed, it was the main subject for the elections. Dr. Atuforsen led the charge for the NDC as a key person for the NDC on finance and the economy for the elections. He's been a ranking member on the finance committee. He's been serving on the finance committee as ranking member since January 2017. And his tenure as ranking member came to an end in January 2023 when he was promoted to be minority leader. He's been a deputy finance minister, as we said earlier. As part of his job as a finance ministry, he was one of the people who negotiated the IMF deal when the NDC was exiting power. So in 2015, Dr. Kesel Atuforsen was one of the key people who led the government team to go negotiate the IMF deal, which led NDC or had the NDC exit from power. So he's been playing different roles within the governmental system, within the parliamentary system, in the finance space. Dr. Atuforsen, we are told, when you look at his demeanor, a very calm gentleman, a very welcoming gentleman. He is one who likes to engage a lot. And people have criticized him for not being a really good orator. He's the one, you will not see Dr. Kesel Atuforsen on his feet debating very often. But then when it comes to his background, what he understands, what he knows, what he has been practicing for a very long time, he's always on his feet, ready to represent the NDC, ready to represent John Dramani Mahama, to lead the charge on the economy. So that is Dr. Kesel Atuforsen.
A purely finance person.
A purely finance person, a tax person. Tax is important here because the government has to deal with the issue of taxes. One of their promises was that they were going to rationalize the tax system. They were going to abolish some of the tax nuisance taxes. They were also promising to introduce some new taxes which they believe would be good for the Ghanaian people. One of the taxes they were speaking about whilst in opposition was the road tolls. The road tolls have been very important and conversation for the NDC whilst in the minority. Now they are in the majority. They have set up a government. You are going to deal with taxes. As finance minister, one of the major sources of revenue is taxes. And how is he going to use his tax background to be able to rationalize our tax regime and to ensure that the promises of not burdening Ghanaians with too many taxes would come to pass. This background is one which would be very important.
Fred, with that background, he's currently the majority leader. Yes. I'll ask you what happens to the majority leadership in Parliament now that he's been appointed as a finance minister. But let me speak to Joe Jackson, on the phone and take his, opinion on the appointment of Dr. Keselato. I'm told he's on Zoom. Joe, Happy New Year. First night speaking to you in this year. It's just glad for me to say Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year and good to talk to you.
Joe, were you surprised?
So we are all very excited.
Definitely. Were you surprised when President Mahama, brought this list out, naming Dr. Keselato Forson as finance minister? Someone, for you personally, within the financial space, were you surprised this appointment?
No, this was not a surprising appointment. In fact, even in a lot of ways, it was expected. His name was the leading name amongst the pool of people that we thought could be appointed. Now, remember that we are in a difficult situation. We may even call it a time of crisis, especially now that we're finding out about the issues to do with energy and doomsaw, in addition to all the other problems that we were already anticipating. One thing to be said for Dr. Atu Forson, Mr. Atu Forson, is that he's a calm head. In a time of crisis, we need a calm head. We need somebody who would listen to all the issues, make up his mind without getting excited. Somebody who won't be caught up with the maelstrom of emotions that are going on. For that reason, amongst others, especially his experience, we have to welcome this appointment. He's also had some experience negotiating with the World Bank. That is also very welcome because we are in the middle of a World Bank program. And yet at the same time, we want to renegotiate some aspects of that program to grant some relief to our citizens. That's also welcome. And he's had a front seat on the issues that have been going down for the last few years. At this moment, we say, welcome. And we say to him, we wish him the very best of luck, assuming that given the makeup of Parliament, that he will be proved fairly quickly and easily. The other thing we have to wish him is the strength to take the hard decisions that will be required. That he will need the wisdom of Solomon, but the steady mind required to take the hard decisions. Otherwise, we're fine with this appointment.
Considering the expectation and a number of things that he's known to have said, is it going to be pressure on him to deliver on this ministry, considering where he's coming from and some of his pronouncements, which has, really come to pass? Will there be pressure on him to deliver?
Listen, this is an election was won on the issue of the economy. Whoever was going to come into that portfolio was going to be under tremendous pressure. Pressure from the promises that have been made in the manifesto, pressure from expectations of Ghanaian citizens. That pressure would be there, whoever it is. So, well, I'm sure Dr. Forson knows exactly how much pressure there is, and in accepting to be nominated, I'm sure he's ready to face to it.
Joe, John Mahama, President Mahama, and Dr. Atu Forson, they'll be working together, made a number of promises to take away certain taxes, COVID tax, betting tax, and e-levy, which was one of the taxes they promised the Ghanaian people that they were going to take off, when they are elected to office. Now, Ghanaians have given it the opportunity. From where you sit, would it be that easy to take away these taxes?
It's not going to be easy taking away those taxes. Listen, some of those taxes, we remember we're in an IMF regime. We are committed to pay off our debts. We're committed to keep our revenues at a certain level. Now, taking off taxes is the easiest thing to do. Getting enough revenue in is the challenging thing to do. So it's easy to say, if as a nation we say we don't want to do e-levy anymore, we don't want to do betting tax anymore, we don't want to do COVID tax anymore, we want to reduce the duties at the port. That is easier said. The challenge is when we take all this off, we must find the sources of revenue to make sure that we meet up with the commitments we've made to the IMF and the commitment to pay our debtors as they come up. So it's not an easy task, but I'm sure that given who Kasia Tuforsen is, he will make a really, really good attempt at fixing the situation.
As always, thank you very much. And once again, Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, and I wish you all of us the very best.
Thank you very much. Joe Jackson is with Daylight Finance, the Director of Operations, I guess. The Chief Executive, sorry, forgive me, Joe. The Chief Executive for Daylight Finance, and someone, who has an authority when it comes to the financial space. We've been speaking to him on a issue when it comes to the economy, the taxes, and general economic matters. Right. So you heard Joe making some pronouncement that indeed the appointment of Dr. Atuforse is welcoming to the financial community, in quotes, if I'll put it that way. But mentions that taking away some of the taxes the NDC promised was going to be a challenge, but he's optimistic that they'll find a way around it to take away these taxes. And a lot of Ghanaians are depending on these taxes.
Yes, I agree. But you see, Sami, I've been thinking about this. When you look at the economy now and look at how the presidency is set up, I think that the economy is one of the most important things this government would have to deal with. And with the appointment of Dr. Keso Atuforsen, I don't think that he's going to be the only person who will be left to run the economy. I suspect what is going to happen is that, unlike what we have known for the last 8, 16, 20 years of our lives, where the vice president is made chairman of the economic committee of government, I think that this time around, that particular committee is going to go directly under the president, where he would have a team of economic minds to deal with, whilst the vice president may have to deal with the issues of education and other social interventions. Because as we speak to, education is one very important.
Yesterday we had an announcement by
the issue of the free SHS and the rest. And that is we
are looking out to who will become the education minister.
Exactly, that's the space of the vice president. So I think this time round, Dr. Keso Atuforsen, instead of working with the vice president, I'm sure there will be a swap where the vice president will be given the authority and the power to take care of the education sector and other sectors within government, while the economy would come directly under the president with Dr. Atuforsen and other economic management team.
Sure. Friends, that's it for Dr. Keso Atuforsen. We say congratulations to him, and Ghanaians are expecting him to deliver. Another appointment or nomination is John Jinapor.
Yes.
A member of parliament for Yape Kushegu, one of the Jinapor brothers.
One of the Jinapor brothers.
His brother was just the immediate minister for lands and natural resources.
Exactly.
And the current member of parliament for Damago.
Exactly.
His senior brother gets an appointment by John Dramani Mahama to serve as Minister of Energy. Previously, Deputy Minister of Power.
Ranking member on Mines and Energy Committee.
The go-to person when it comes to energy.
Exactly, a member of the Finance Committee. His background is in finance. He has studied a number of things within the finance industry, but has been a major player within the power sector because of his role as Deputy Power Minister. For those who do not know John Jinapor really came into prominence somewhere in 2010, 11, 12, when he was spokesperson
to John
Dramani Mahama. When John Dramani Mahama became president, he was sent to the then Energy Ministry. That ministry was divided into two when following the crisis.
But for not to cut, is it not interesting how the Jinapor brothers or become spokesperson to potential presidents.
Yes, you recall.
Abu Jinapor, his kid brother.
You recall in the 2012 elections, you had the two brothers having to debate each other because they were spokespersons for the
two leading
presidential candidates at the time. It was quite interesting. John Jinapor has built his profile from that. Went into the energy ministry. The energy ministry had was divided into two. We had the energy ministry and then the power ministry. He was made deputy power minister. His minister Kwamna Donko was sacked. He was in the ministry alone, reporting to Seth Tekpe, the finance minister, who had oversight over the Ministry of Power. And at the time, he was doing most of the work within the power sector after his minister had left. So John Jinapor within the power sector is not a new face, not a new face, not
he still has relationship within the ministry.
He has a lot of connections. He has a lot of relationships within the ministry. Now the challenge for John Jinapor is how he's going to deal with this looming power crisis.
Because he sounded the alarm.
Exactly.
He's
the
the
same person who sounded the alarm on the day of inauguration. How he's going to deal with it to ensure that this country is not plunged into darkness. He's coming from a government previously which had to deal with issues of power crisis, outages and crisis. They managed to deal with this power crisis at the end of the tenure of John Mahama. Now, at the beginning of John Mahama, they are being threatened with another power crisis, and he's now being given the job to deal with it. As to whether he can deal with it, we wait to see. But with his competence, he's much competent to do the work.
Definitely. So John Jinapor there, expected to deal with the issues of power challenges, or doomsaw as we are known in Ghana to have called it, in this crisis. Fred, and then another appointment, which for me is not surprising. I call him a gentleman, Dr. Dominic Ayeni. He's not your type of politician you will see, for want of a better word, insulting political opponents.
He's a political gentleman.
A political gentleman. He makes his case with basis, with facts and everything. He's someone you admire from Parliament, who will make his case. And at a point in time, maybe in the previous Parliament, he was the chairman of the subsidiary committee of Parliament and the rest. What do we know about him?
Dr. Dominic Ayeni, a senior lawyer. He's been practicing for more than 3 decades. He's a lecturer. He's lectured at the University of Ghana Law School. He's been a visiting lecturer outside the country. He is the founding partner of Ayeni and Partners law firm. This law firm includes people like Mahama Yaiga, Eduji Tamoklo. He had
our good friend Eduji Tamoklo.
Yes, he had previously people like our now Court of Appeals judge, Poko Disei. They've all worked together in the same firm for a while. Dr. Ayeni, as you said, was a deputy attorney general under the tenure of John Mahama's first government. His boss, Marietta Brew Upon, gave him the chance to operate. So you saw him in court quite often. During his time as Deputy Attorney General. In Parliament, he's quite vocal on legal issues, very vocal on constitutional issues. He's one of the respected lawyers when it comes to constitutional issues. You see him appear in front of the Supreme Court. He's represented a lot of people in this country. There was one particular case which was quite interesting, where he went to court, and when there was a representation, it was Dr. Ayeni and Katie Hammond who were representing one of the accused persons in one of these banking issues, banking trials. He's, as you said, one person who is respected. He carries himself very well within the legal fraternity. He's also very well respected. Dr. Ayeni led a number of prosecutions whilst he was in the Attorney General's office. And don't forget, outside being the principal legal advisor to the government, one of the things he's going to do and he's going to lead is the issue of the oral. You know, the NDC whilst campaigning made this oral a very big issue. The president was elected, whilst president-elect formed a committee to begin the groundswork for
already we are
this
told over
oral
400 petitions before the table of the oral committee chaired by Okuja to a black one.
Exactly.
So Ghanaians are really looking forward to the operations of Ora, which
of retrieving the money and prosecuting people who are found to have wronged.
So the Ora will get these people, and then he, as Attorney General, will lead the prosecution.
Yeah, according to them, the Ora is just setting the grounds for the Attorney General,
getting all the evidence
the
and everything
institutions to work. Okay. So they are now taking the reports from people. They are now taking all the other things and gathering evidence. When they are done, I'm sure they would hand over to the Attorney General. The Attorney General would go through it, would get the needed investigative bodies to also confirm and see whether there are anything or people will be found culpable of any wrongdoing. If there's any wrongdoing, Dominic Ayene is going to lead a charge for the government to prosecute people who are found to have done wrong while serving in government.
Dominic Ayene, Member of Parliament for Bogatanga East. You're still watching The Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafe. I'm doing this with my friend, colleague, brother Fred Tete Jabona. We'll go for a break. When we come back, we'll look at other appointments President John Dramani Mahama has made.
Get ready for a day of gratitude and nostalgia at the Swesco Annual All-Year Group's Thanksgiving and Remembrance Service. Join us on Sunday, January 19th, 2025 at the ICGC Christ Temple at Boseokai in Accra at 2 p.m. The service will also mark the launch of the 66th anniversary celebrations of Swesco. Wear your Swesco cloth and be part of this special gathering. Contact your year group president for further details. Let's make this a day to remember. See you there.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafe, and I'm doing this with my friend, colleague, and brother Fred Tete Jabona. We are looking at the appointments or the nominations made by President John Dramani Mahama, who was on Tuesday officially sworn in as the next president of the Republic for the next 4 years. We look at the 3 ministers or 3 nominees. The president has referred to the Appointment Committee of Parliament for vetting and possible approval. Dr. Dominic Ayene, Minister Designate for the Attorney General's Department and Minister of Justice. John Jinapo, Minister Designate for Energy, and Dr. Keselato Forsen, Minister Designate for Finance. But before these appointments, Mr. Mahama had made some previous appointment of persons we consider as the kitchen cabinet of Mr. Mahama or President John Dramani Mahama. These individuals included Julius Debra, who will be the Chief of Staff, Dr. Callistus Mahama, who will be the Executive Secretary to the President, Prosper Douglas Bani, who will be the head of the Interim Security Task Force, Dr. Valerie Sawyer, Senior Presidential Advisor, Governmental Affairs, Augustus Guzi Tano, Presidential Advisor on the 24-hour economy, Marita Ejewa Brew, Legal Counsel to the President of the Republic, and Felix Kwachi Ofosu, Acting Spokesperson to the President. So Fred, Julius Debra.
Yes, before we even go into Julius Debra and who is, you have worked from the presidency for 8 years. These people who you call the kitchen cabinet, these offices, how important are
very
they
important,
for running the
Fred.
presidency?
So these people run the day-to-day activities of Mr. President. In fact, they run him. So someone like the Chief of Staff, at that time was Manafremo Osopari. No, he ran the entire Jubilee House. The day-to-day activities, all the operations and everything will come to her. But in this time, it's coming to Julius Debra. In the case of Dr. Callistus, at that time it was Asante Bidieto, Nana Asante Bidieto. he was the executive secretary to the president until he got sick, and then Ko Isuman took over as the acting executive secretary. Now he was, the duty is to be the president's, main secretary or personal secretary. Almost every meeting or every decision that needs to be taken, he's expected to be a part of that particular meeting. In the Akufo-Addo administration, there was no head of interim security. There was only the head of the security at the Jubilee House. That was Captain Retired Edmond Koda. So he was in charge of the president's security setup. And then this time we have Dr. Valerie Sawyer, who is the senior presidential advisor. In Nana Akufo-Addo's case, he has some presidential advisors around them with different designations. Dr. Sultana will serve as presidential advisor. Nana Akufo-Addo's one persons who will serve as, presidential advisors. Then there's an appointment of Marita Brew as the counsel to the president. Nana Akufo-Addo also had Ko Isuman was the president's lawyer or counsel to the president. So remember, a lot of communications from the presidency, you will see him, the legal ones, you see him authorizing these things. The spokesperson to the president, during Akufo-Addo's time, it began with Mustafa Hamid. And then after the first term, Eugene Ahin took over as official spokesperson to the president. So it's a similar appointment to what, was done at the Jubilee House by Nana Akufo-Addo, when he was president.
Yes, so now let's go into the names. Julius Debra, former chief of staff. In the
very
first
figure.
Yes, in the
even
first
within the
Mahama
NDC and outside the
administration,
NDC.
within the NDC and the first outside the NDC, as you said, he's been a local government minister. He's been the Eastern Regional Minister. He's been a Greater Accra Regional Minister. He's a businessman. He's been a major part of the Mahama team from when he was appointed as chief of staff in 2013 or in 2015. All the way to opposition, whilst in opposition, very close to John Mahama, represented John Mahama in some events. You could, anywhere you see John Mahama, you would see Julius part of it. So it comes as no surprise that Julius Debra has been made chief of staff again. Let's go to the next person in this particular group of people who are appointed by John Mahama. Dr. Callistus Mahama, Executive Secretary to the President. Dr. Callistus Mahama, you know him, has been the head of the local government service from 2013 to 2017. He was coordinator of the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization. He also served in this particular portfolio from 2013 to 2016. He's been a deputy director and head of the Accra campus of the Local Government Institute. That was from 2009 to 2013. Dr. Callistus Mahama, when the NDC went into opposition, has worked closely with John Dramani Mahama. In fact, at a point, he's believed to have run the office of John Dramani Mahama, so more like a deputy chief of staff or the administrator of the office of John Dramani Mahama, a very key person in the campaign of John Dramani Mahama. It comes as no surprise that he's been appointed as the executive secretary to the president. People were asking whether he has, what is his legal background. He has a doctorate in law, with land law. His speciality is with land administration. That's been his specialty. That's been what he studied in school. So that is the executive secretary to the president for you, Dr. Callistus Mahama. We go to the third person on the list, Prosper Douglas Bani. He's the head
at the point he served as chief of staff.
Yes, he was the first chief of staff under the Mahama administration.
Yes,
so the substantive Mahama administration. John Mahama took over from Professor Mills. At the time, there was a chief of staff, Martin Newman.
Yes.
He remained chief of staff till the tenure of Professor Mills ended. And John Mahama was elected president in 2012. In 2013, his first appointment as chief of staff was Prosper Bani. Prosper Bani served in that role till 2015, when there was a reshuffle and Julius Debra coming in. After that, he was appointed later in 2016 as Interior Minister from 2016 to 2017. He has served within the UN space. He's worked within peacekeeping areas for the UN. So he's worked as a small arms and demobilization specialist for the UN. So his professional background had always been within this security, peace building, and worked within the UN space. So that is Prosper Douglas Bani for you. He is heading the Interim Security Task Force the president set up to run the operations of the security sector in this country before he appoints substantive security chiefs. So that is Prosper Douglas Bani for you. We go to the next person on this particular list, Dr. Valerie Sawyer, a senior presidential advisor for governmental affairs. She is coming from a rich background of a rich political history. Yeah. Her dad was the very popular Dr. Sawyer.
Harry Sawyer.
Harry Sawyer.
Okay.
That's her dad. She's a legal practitioner by profession. She's a lawyer. She's worked in various sectors of government. Her first real taste of proper governmental position was under the ex-president, Professor John Evans-Atta Mills, when she was appointed as a deputy chief of staff. In 2013, when John Mahama took over power, she was then made senior policy advisor and head of the presidential delivery unit. She served in that position till January 2017. Those people within the NDC who know Dr. Sawyer very well tell you of her influence within the party, especially in the Greater Accra. Dr. Sawyer, Valerie Sawyer, very influential within the Greater Accra party in the NDC. And in the NDC as a whole, there's a story I always tell you. During the NDC National Executive Committee, National Executive elections, when things got heated, I remember Dr. Sawyer met one of the campaign managers for one of the candidates. I don't want to mention the candidate, who was busily campaigning. She had her own person she was supporting. She was also campaigning, but she realized that the other gentleman was really, really campaigning. So she called the gentleman to come close. When she called the gentleman said, "Oh, Doc, how are you?" Then she tells the gentleman, "Stand by me." The gentleman stood by her for about an hour and a half to the election. And they were having conversations. They were chatting. Ended his campaign. Eventually, Dr. Sawyer's candidate won. So it tells you of her interpersonal relationship. She's mentored a lot of the young people within the NDC and her influence generally on the young people in the NDC. So I'm not surprised she's been made part of John Mahama's government. Even before the announcement of Speaker Bagben as Speaker of Parliament for this new session and this new term, her name also came up strongly as one of the candidates who could have been Speaker of Parliament. Yeah. So yes, that is Dr. Valerie Sawyer for you. Let's go to the next person, Marietta Ejewa Brew, Legal Counsel to the President. Marietta Brew, as we know her to be, has been in the practicing law for a very long time. I think she was called into the bar somewhere in the early 90s, if I'm not mistaken, in the early 90s. She's a managing partner for Lita Brew and Company. Her partner is Tony Lita. Okay. They've been working together for a very long time. Marietta Brew is served as Attorney General under John Mahama's government, a very respected lawyer. Outside the law fraternity, she's also respected for the way she carries herself, her personality and everything. Played a very critical role in the NDC campaign. Marietta Brew led a group of people to the Ashanti region where they campaigned and even stayed over to monitor and train polling agents. So she's been very influential.
Even in this government, you remember when Ghana had issue with Ivory Coast. Exactly. On the sea, issue had to go to the Little Scott.
Had to do with the border.
The issues. Border, yes. And she was part of the legal team that represented Ghana. But that time was led by former Attorney General Gloria Ekufu.
She started the proceedings. The government left office. Gloria Ekufu was made AG at the time. She took over, but then remained in the team to go
to fight this particular
exactly. And they eventually won that particular case.
And I remember when they came back, I think she was part of the legal team that came to the Jubilee House for the president to honor them also. That was some years ago.
Exactly. So even in this government, the early years of the Akufo-Addo government.
So even in this government, she's well appreciated for her efforts as a lawyer within this country.
Yes. So Marietta Brew, upon now legal counsel to President John Dramani Mahama. Don't forget, her partner was lawyer for John Dramani Mahama during the election petition. Tony Lita was lawyer for John Dramani Mahama. So it looks like John Dramani Mahama likes the services of that particular law firm.
And in fact, in these appointments or this kitchen cabinet, you get people you trust.
Exactly.
You need to appoint people you really trust to serve in this particular, positions as we call the kitchen cabinet. Because you can't just go and bring anybody to come and serve in here, because you must have personal relationship with these individuals when you appoint to these positions.
Spokesperson to the president, acting spokesperson to the president. We have a member of parliament for Asebu, Asaman Kese. Am I right?
No, Asebu. Asebu Kwaman Kese. Ebura Asebu. Ebura, hold on. Ebura Asebu Kwaman Kese.
AAK.
Yes, it's in the central region.
Yes, AAK.
Let's end it there.
AAK. Yes, Felix has been on the political space for a very long time.
You know, my first interaction with Felix was
CJA,
Committee for Joint Action. Okujato Ablakwa, Honorable and Kwesi Pratt. They had called a press conference, and we all thought it was going to be Ablakwa who was going to address, or Kwesi Pratt. And then comes this young man, Felix Kwasi. The presentation was okay, so everybody was like, who is this guy? Very realized, Felix has become a big man in Ghana, as we always say. So that was my first interaction with him. That was years back, I think 2009, 2008, when CJA was CJA. Yeah, at that time. That was my first interaction with him.
This would be 2007, 2008.
Yes. As a young journalist, practicing journalist at that time. It's okay, continue.
Anyway, Felix Kwache was part of a group of people who were described as babies with sharp teeth. Yes, he was part of a group of people. He took a formal government position in 2013 when he was made Deputy Minister of Information. When that particular ministry was merged with Communications, with Dr. Omanebo Agwan being the head, he still remained as Deputy Communications and Deputy Minister in charge of Communications. When they went out of government, he became a special aide to President John Dramani Mahama. He was one of his spokespersons on a number of issues. Felix has remained a
loyal servant.
A loyal
yes. Servant to John Mahama.
He's been very open about his beliefs. And the beliefs of the NDC, the beliefs of John Dramani Mahama. He contested the AAK seat in 2020 and lost, and this time round went again and is now current member of parliament for that particular constituency. So that's Felix for you. One concern people have raised with the appointment of Felix is why you have a member of parliament serving as a spokesperson for the president, who is an executive president. That people have raised concerns about, but
it's just an acting role.
It's just an acting role.
Until maybe a director of communication is appointed, or a communications minister or information minister is appointed, then that person may take up that particular position. Role.
Yes, but then people have raised that concerns, and it looks like the president still believes in the work of Felix Kwache to do and communicate properly for him. So he is now spokesperson for the president, or for John Dramani Mahama, who is now president of Ghana. Let's look at the next group of appointments. The national...
I would say this was the first appointment.
Yes, this was the first appointment.
The first appointment.
The interim national security coordinating team. This was the first appointment made by John Dramani Mahama. This had Lieutenant General Peter Augustine Blay, a retired CDS. We had Kofi Totobi Kwache, a former National Security Minister, Larry Gbevlolate, a National Security Coordinator, Brigadier Fuseni Idrisu, he was a former military man, and COP Nathaniel Kofi Boache, retired.
A very popular figure when it comes to
Commander One,
policing in the Greater Accra region and policing in the Ashanti region.
You see, one of the things which shot him to fame was the arrest of Atayi. That's when he was Greater Accra commander. Then he went on to become the director of operations, and then the MV Benjamin case came. He was interdicted for a long time, came back, he was sent to the Ashanti region to become commander of the Ashanti region, then eventually became a COP, took charge of PIPs and other places. On our screen now, we have Lieutenant General Peter Augustine Blay. Peter Augustine Blay, as I said, he was CDS under John Evans Atta Mills. He was also defense advisor at the High Commission, Nigerian High Commission. He served as chief of staff at the general headquarters of the Ghana Armed Forces. So that is Lieutenant General Augustine Blay. We have the next one, Larry Bevlo Lati.
A very popular person.
Very popular person within the
Ghana.
security space. He was National Security Coordinator from 2009 to 2014. And he was commander of the 64 Battalion Regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces. He's been an African Union Chairperson, Special Representative in charge of counter-terrorism. So he's played various roles within the security architecture in Ghana. Let's go to the next person, Mr. Kofi Totobi Kwache.
This was a name we had growing up.
I was growing up. And you still hear.
And we still hear it.
Yes, a former national security advisor or national security minister, the longest serving information minister. He's been a secretary to the Trades Union Congress. Mr. Kofi Totobi Kwache has been a key person within the running of the NDC.
A key person from the PNDC administration to the NDC administration.
NDC 2, NDC 3.
One of the popular figures you always hear growing up, you put on your TV and you see his face, you listen to the radio, it's Totobi Kwache.
And he's back in NDC.
And he's back in NDC again. Yes. We are still hearing the same Totobi Kwache.
Totobi Kwache. That's it. And we have, we've talked about Kofi Boakye already. Let's go to the next person. That's the retired general. He has been a director of general defense, Director General of the Defense Intelligence with the Ghana Armed Forces. He's been a member of the Joint Intelligence Committee of the National Security Council and a member of the National Security Council. For him, you realize that it looks like from his background, intelligence is what he specializes in. And being a member of this Security Coordinating Council, he's going to help with intelligence on that particular interim committee. Sami, this three groups of people have been the appointment so far for John Dramani Mahama. We are looking forward for other appointments.
Which key positions are you looking at, Fred? Let's three before we go.
Sami, Lands Ministry, especially because of Galamsey. The Agric Ministry, because of how important Agric is. And Foreign Affairs is one ministry I'm also looking out for to see who goes there. And the Trade Ministry.
For me, I'm looking at just three ministries: Education, Defense, and Interior.
Education, Defense, and Interior.
Who Mr. President will appoint to this position. But Fred, before we go, we have some few minutes to wrap up. With the appointment of Dr. Keselato Forsen,
there's a vacancy
as minister or nomination as Minister for Finance. What happens to the position of a majority leader in Parliament? Because if you are taking him out, he can't serve as majority leader. It means the majority in Parliament now will have to select a new leader.
There'll be a replacement.
Yes.
There'll be a replacement. And there are names which have come out for replacement. The first name is Mahama Yaiga. People believe that he's played his role with the 60 number of ministers the president is looking out for. You need a strong majority leader to be able to also control the huge number of MPs the NDC have. One of the names which have come is Mahama Yaiga. Mahama Yaiga's name has come up for leadership in Parliament for a very long time, even when the NDC were the minority in the House. So Mahama Yaiga's name has come. Another name which has come is Muntaka Mubarak. Muntaka Mubarak was the chief whip. He's been chief whip, majority chief whip, minority chief whip. He was replaced with Gavins Agboja. And people are tipping him to be one of the people to be looked at or selected, if need be, to be majority leader. Another person whose name has come up is Honorable Collins Dauda, the longest serving member of Parliament.
I wish he's giving to Collins Dauda. He has all the experience you will need in a member of Parliament. For him, he's one person I would consider as a career politician. Because he's been in Parliament since 92,
Yes, since
92. 1992.
He exited in 2000 and returned in 2004.
So I feel for experience, for long period of stay in the house, and someone who knows the ins and outs of the house, I'll be glad if the NDC caucus or the NDC leadership will appoint Collins Dauda as their leader.
Sami, my money will be on Mahama Yaiga.
Well, his name has come up on a number of
Mahama
occasions.
Yaiga, based on his background as a lawyer, based on experience in Parliament. I mean, all these three gentlemen are experienced persons in Parliament, very experienced. You cannot take that away from them. All of them are capable of leading the NDC in Parliament, where they have the majority, overwhelming majority. But from what I hear on the ground, we are likely to see a replacement in Mahama Yaiga being majority leader for the NDC in Parliament.
We'll be glad for us to hear that particularly. Fred, thank you very much. It's been another exciting edition of The Situation that came to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafi, and I did this with my friend, colleague, and brother, Fred Tete Jabano. Till we come your way again, may the good Lord be with us all.